Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be doing an upgrade on this Harley Benton TE-62. Now if you want to see an unboxing video and kind of like a review with everything stock, you can check a few videos back, but today is going to be all about upgrading some of the things in this guitar. I got this new assembly from Amazon for $30, so it's not expensive, but it had really good reviews. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put this new assembly. I like the cables; they're kind of pretty thick, and it just looks nice. And it's gonna fix that knob. So that's one change that we're gonna do today. And then the other change that we're gonna do is that we're gonna change the bridge pickup for this Seymour Duncan Jerry Donahue, which is a great pickup. I had this on my Nick Johnston Telecaster, and I wanted a little bit more punch of that guitar, so I changed it to something to like a hot rail pickup pretty much. And then this one, I'm gonna put it on this guitar because again, I think it's a really good pickup. So we're gonna make those changes and then we'll just see what happens. So I'm using my orange TH30. I am actually miking it with an SM57 on this orange 1x12 cap. And let's just check out some tones and then we'll make the change and then we'll check out those tones. Alright, so those were some clean tones. Now let's just put a 2 Screamer Mini. Ibanez 2 Screamer Mini. Let's see what we get with that. Alright, that was overdriven. Now let's try the Boss Blues Driver. Something that I like about the Boss Blues Driver is that it does have a little bit of a fizzy high end, but it cuts through a lot better. So for example, for these pickups that are kind of like a little bit fatter but not as clear, that pedal tends to make it, just a bit more clear. Alright, now let's check out, let's check it out with the Rat, Lil Rat. and now to see some high gain tones. And again, that's one of the things I do think that maybe this speaker might take even a little bit better than the one that I'm installing, is the higher gain sound. So check it out, it kind of retains nice and fatty, doesn't kind of break up as early. So this is what we get. I am using now the, for the high gain tones, I'm gonna be using the Hoyo Uzi, I think, which is a great high gain pedal. So again, guys, it's not a bad pickup at all, guys. It sounds great. Again, it sounds fat. It's great for rock. So, you know, let's make the change and let's see, let's see how it sounds. Alright guys, so that improvisation that you guys heard, it's already with the changes, with the upgrades or changes. We'll talk a little bit about if it's a change or an upgrade. Alright, but let's just check out now some tones with this, new stuff that I put in. Alright, I'm going to use the same exact everything, same settings, same pedals, right, just so we can kind of have like a bit of a fair comparison. Right, so let's see. Let's start with the clean sound in the orange TH30, which has an amazing clean channel. Yeah, I might want to turn my volume on. All right, let's try, guys, the Ibanez Tube Screamer Mini. Alright, pretty nice. Now let's check out one of my favorite pedals, the Boss Blues Driver, just like the normal standard one. I love this pedal, guys. You know, it just gives you like this, I don't even know how to explain it, it just gives you like this very like bitey tone. Alright, nice. Alright, now let's go for the Rat. Getting a little bit heavier in the game. Alright, and let's go finally for the Joyo Uzi. Alright, really cool Marshall high gain pedal. Check this out. And now the last thing, guys, that we are going to check out tone-wise, before we talk a little bit about the sounds. By the way, you guys hear that hum? Hopefully you can hear. Maybe I blocked it out, trying to like mute the noise for the voice mic. All right, but one of the cool things about the upgrade on the plate on this whole assembly is that it has a capacitator. So that means that it's not gonna cut down the highs as I lower the gain. So check it out. Let's take our volume way down. All right, so check this out. Right, really nice over lead sound. I mean, pretty much almost clean. And if I raise it, all right, guys. So we heard the tones from both different options. We kind of like saw a little bit of an improv. Right now, let's actually talk about how does this feel. So a lot of times when you hear YouTube videos, or maybe in the past when I done some videos, some things don't translate 100%. So I always think it's good to give like the opinion of the person in the room, right? So let me give you kind of my thoughts on these changes that I made to this guitar, right? So first, let's talk about the plate, guys. So this is the old plate, as you can see. Hopefully you can see a little bit well, but over here this is loose, right? So what was happening is that it just wasn't turning right correctly. Now it was always all the way on, and I'm not sure if this is a capacitor or what this is. And overall the plate is not bad, but obviously it's not going to be the highest quality. Now compared to this one, by the way, this was 30 bucks, guys, but the quality was already much better on this one, even being 30 bucks. So in reality, I think that's a change that even if this wasn't broken, if I wanted to make it, it would be a pretty good upgrade. Very cheap too. As far as soldering, was not difficult at all. If you know how to do pickups, you could probably put this on easily. Now it was pre-assembled, right? That means that I didn't really have to solder every single thing. I just had to solder the pickups and the input jack. So nothing major, guys, and the ground, obviously. Right, now as far as that, pretty easy. Right now, the one thing that it was my fault, I didn't measure this when I bought it, and they have a few different options in Amazon when I bought this, and I guess I bought one that was a little bit too big, so I'm gonna have to cut just like a little tiny bit of the pick guard, like almost nothing really. It was like almost there, but I'm gonna have to cut a little bit of that so that it goes all the way against the body, because right now it's actually rising a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. All right, so but that was my fault, right? Because they do give you the option. Right now, the knobs, guys, the knobs are, I gotta be honest, they're much better. They feel much more quality. Even though this one, right, was working fine. This one here, you could just tell. You could just tell that these are a little bit more well put together. I don't know if they're a better material, but they're better put together. Another thing that I liked about this one is that the cables, like, so usually on the lower end things, you get like these very little tiny cables that just feel a little bit cheap. They feel cheap, but I mean they do their job, and if they're if they're not damaged or anything, they'll work just fine. With this speaker, like, we get those really thick, nice, that feel very sturdy on cables, and that just feels good. It does make it feel like there's more quality in there. Now again, sound wise, is there a big difference? And I'm gonna be honest here, guys, there's a bit of difference. Is it huge, the biggest in the world, night and day? No, but definitely there's a little bit of difference. Obviously this one's a capacitor, so the other one didn't. So what this one's gonna do is that when you lower your volume, it's gonna retain the highs. And obviously I also changed the pickup, so those two things are gonna make a huge difference. But I do feel that this is a really nice switch assembly and knob assembly. This switch over here feels nice and sturdy, so recommend it. If you guys want to know what it is, I could just put it like on the comments. I'm not affiliated with them or anything. I just saw it online, saw a bunch of good reviews, saw that it was not expensive, and I was like, all right, let me just go ahead and get it. All right, so that's that, guys. So that feels like a really nice upgrade. Right now, even to the bigger upgrade is this Seymour Duncan, I forgot already, JPT, Jerry, I forgot the guy's name. Well, I said it in the beginning, right? So you know, I'll call them the Jerrys. That's what I always call them. I just call them Jerrys. I did the same when I changed them from, you know, out of my other Telecaster. Now these pickups, I already had a lot of experience with them, so I kind of knew what they were going to sound like. Surprisingly enough, I think this assembly, or maybe, you know, kind of like this assembly made it sound a little bit less bright, which is good. Because on the other guitar, they just sounded a little bit bright. And I wanted something just a little bit less bright. And on this guitar, it sounds a little bit less bright. Now, is it because of the assembly? I'm not sure. Is it because of the construction of the guitar? Could be. Is it because of the play? Who knows, guys? But it sounds really nice and I like it. All right, so I already knew what this pickup sounded like, so I really know that I like them a lot. And again, you know why I changed them is because they have such good clarity. And you are going to, you know, if you guys check out like the old pickups sounds and versus the new ones, you're gonna notice that, yeah, they sound a little bit thinner, of course, because they have less lows, which is part of the clarity. But they're not like super, you know, high screechy, you know, maybe some of the more traditional tele pickups, which can be a little bit just too much on the highs. And if you're playing country and stuff like that, that might be great. But I wanted something just with a little bit less highs, but it's still having like, you know, quite a good amount of highs, especially for a tele. It is part of the sound. It is part of what gives the bite. Right, so the pickups, I knew that they were gonna sound good. Now let me compare the older pickups to the newer pickups, because I still think that the Roswell pickups that came with this guitar were actually still pretty good pickups, right? They were not bad. Yeah, they were not as articulate and clear, but they had this kind of like nice thick sound to them that I actually didn't mind. So the thing is that if you're maybe looking for like a blues rock kind of guitar and you don't really need like a lot of highness, or maybe something that might even take a little bit of your drives, especially the higher gain drives, a little bit better, those pickups were actually fine. And I do miss a little bit that thickness of them, right? Actually, if I could get the thickness of the Roswell pickups with the clarity of these pickups, I think that would make an amazing pickup, because I do think that on the bass, I always wish they had a little bit more bass, you know, a little bit more lows. But they're still amazing pickups. So, you know, the older pickups, guys, are really not bad. All right, they're not bad at all. Again, it depends on what you're going for, right? For this guitar, I wanted more like going to a little bit more traditional, not so maybe modern, or like, you know, with the chopper T that I installed on my other Telecaster. That is an amazing pickup. You know, that thing has a lot of bite, but still has a lot of lows, right? But I wanted this one to be more traditional, and I had the pickups. I'm like, you know, I don't even have to buy a pickups for this guitar. I have that one. So, you know, putting them on here, definitely, you know, for me, that I'm always looking for, you know, just a lot of clarity. That's kind of what I'm always looking for in pickups. Whether they're, you know, for, you know, high gain music, you know, for gent or rock or metal, whatever, or where I'm, you know, going for a cleaner, overdriven tones, or just like a clean sound, I'm always looking for a lot of clarity. That's just something that I like a lot. And I think that the big difference between the lower budget pickups and the higher end pickups is that a lot of times the lower end pickups seems like they just full on go on or off on things. So on these ones, on the older ones, Roswell, they had like some full on nice bass, nice lower mids, but they were lacking the high end. And I've seen other pickups that are the other way around, or I've seen other pickups that they just have too much of everything, right? So, you know, with, you know, pickups that are a little bit more expensive, I think they actually work a little bit more on them, on the actual frequencies that they kind of like accentuate or not. And that just is what makes them sound a little bit more articulate at the end, a little bit more polished. I guess that's, yeah, that'd probably be kind of the word that I go for. They just sound more polished. The other ones sound a little bit more raw, right? But, you know, that's also a personal thing, by the way. So, you know, I'm really happy with the pickups, guys. Now, here's the big question, all right? And maybe some people ask it, maybe we'll ask ourselves this question. It's like the pickups, and that was already, you know, this, you know, I didn't buy it, but when I bought it, it was around $100, $30, right? So we're getting close to the actual price of the actual guitar, which is incredible that for $150, right? Obviously excluding the shipping and all that stuff, that we get this type of guitar is just mind-blowing to me. Now, is it worth it, guys? And that's a personal thing. To me, it is, because when I buy a guitar, I'm actually thinking of like the end goal. I'm not thinking like, oh no, is the pickup gonna get more than the guitar, so now it's not worth it. In a way, you know, that's just not the way I see it. Now, if you see it that way, obviously that's okay. We're all entitled to our opinions. But for me, I'm just thinking, what is the end goal? You know, what is the end product? You know, if I'm gonna put these pickups and the guitar sounds amazing, feels amazing, that for me is what makes me happy. And with this guitar, that is the case, guys. This guitar looks gorgeous to me, right? It's really well made, really well constructed. The neck is nice. There is like no higher frets or anything like that. So, you know, such an amazing instrument. And then, you know, adding that already makes me like it. And I'll play it even more. I have no problem gigging with this guitar now with this change of pickups. And with this, obviously now knowing that everything, the electronics is a bit better. Now, you know, that's kind of my thought on that, guys. So obviously, you know, just kind of let me know what are your thoughts in that case. You know, are you the person that maybe thinks that, you know, if the components that you add to a guitar after buying it are more than the guitar, is it not worth it anymore? That's, you know, all right. Now, as far as this pickup, I don't even know if to change it or not because I do like this one a lot. It's nice and thick. It does have a, you know, maybe again, I wish it had a little bit more highs, but overall is a good one. Now, other things that I might do to this guitar, maybe the tuners, because I hate those tuners where you have to put the, you know, like the string inside while you hold it down. Really annoying. I might change into locking tuners. Just, it's not because they don't tune well. They actually stay in tune perfectly, but it's because it's like a pain in the ass to change the strings. All right, so, you know, that's probably the one thing. And then I'm thinking about maybe getting a Bixby for it. Because again, you know, my whole idea with this guitar is let me turn it into like an amazing guitar. It was already pretty good. And, you know, with that, it's already way better, at least in my opinion. So those are kind of my thoughts, guys. So, you know, let me know if you like how it sounds. Maybe do you like the older pickups? Maybe do you like the older pickups for some of the lower gain, higher gain stuff, which I think they sound really good for that. Or do you just like these ones overall for everything? Those are kind of my thoughts. All right, I'll keep working, and you know, this is not the last time that we're gonna see this. Obviously, I'll use it for like, you know, pedal shootouts and amps and plugins, and I'll also keep working a little bit on it and, you know, keep you updated. But so far, I am loving this guitar and I'm loving the upgrades. All right, so that's it for today. See you next time, guys.